Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you so much for clicking the video. I very much appreciate it. And today we have a short discussion on Gotham Knights and the possible combat structure, combat mechanics, and even combat design. And we have a very small picture to take from. And the picture is not this, reveal trailer that I'm showing. This is basically something that's been rendered in engine at high quality, and it's something that's designed to get fans happy. I'm speaking about the combat that we saw at the gameplay reveal at the DC Fandom event. You guys have seen that footage. And so we're going to talk about a few things about the combat. So there has been recent development basically highlighting how the combat is designed, how the world is designed to basically accommodate two players if they're in a combat sequence, and a few other things. Now, here is what I have to lead this video with in the best and most cautious way that I can, and that is the combat that we've seen is a very small fraction of the totality of what combat can look like in this particular game. Yes, it will share similar strands to the other Batman games in terms of stealth and melee, because according to Patrick Redding in that interview that he did with Games Radar, the words "the game will still be a brawler" in quote were in that interview. So you're going to have the brawl mechanics where you're fighting. That's not going to be taken away from things. I think a lot of the concerns that people have are the AI possibilities, where if you wanted to play with a potential AI partner, you could go into a mission with AI partners and go ahead and execute those missions. Well, in my opinion, and as somebody who extensively enjoys the Arkham combat, Batman and the Bat Family combat, I can tell you that I don't think this is a big issue when it comes to the game's design. And I'll explain. Now, for all the other Batman games that you may have played, even when you were playing the game and doing or running missions as other characters, many times you didn't necessarily worry or concern yourself with the other enemy AI or a partner going with you. Yes, in some cases, they put you in a situation where you and, Nightwing were destroying Penguin's thugs, or maybe you and Robin can fight in some particular maps, but they necessarily did not do too much in terms of augmenting the game in a different way. You were very satisfied with following the narrative, the combat of your main focus in the game, and that was Batman. And I think if they're able to hone down that and make an interesting story and wonderful experience and very, very, if I would say, responsive combat, people are going to enjoy the game, and the AI component is not going to be an issue. Also, this particular AI request, I don't think gamers understand specifically how challenging a request like this is going to be to execute, especially at the point of the game, wherever it is. So if you want your Gotham Knights game to be released, please let us tone down these requests, and I hope the developers don't get pressured into trying to add a new mechanic like that into the game. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't something that should be considered later down the road, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is from a development perspective, it's something that is quite tricky to put into place. Now, let me give you guys a small example about something like this. So, AI mechanics in terms of companion mechanics are very fun. They're actually a very good thing that makes a lot of video games stand out. In fact, one of the reasons Naughty Dog has been able to be successful with Uncharted is because the AI actually does follow you into situations, and then over time, as the story goes on, they separate you from the AI to make things a little bit interesting. But by and large, the AI is walking alongside you, experiencing heart-wrenching situations, cracking jokes with you, and that's a big deal. Now move to another Sony studio, which is Santa Monica, who did God of War in 2018. I read an article from the game director where he basically did a talk, and it's on Ars Technica. I'll try my best to put a link for you guys. And one of the biggest challenges that he said he faced was actually putting Atreus into the combat of the game, where you could on demand actually give Atreus a command to fight with you in real time. This, he said, basically almost broke his game designer. He said they even made a trip to Naughty Dog to go ask them for help and say, yo, can you guys give us any pointers? And Naughty Dog said, no, we have not done what it is you guys are asking for. So even the fact that Rocksteady was able to implement some semblance of an AI partner fighting, it was based on a way where the AI was on its own fighting against the enemy NPCs. And that system, yes, it was decent. So if that's what people are actually wanting, then maybe in some scenarios that can fly. Maybe in some specific missions, they can design it where you and another of the Bat family members go and you're giving instructions saying, take this guy down, or maybe you're switching between them in a melee brawler situation where you guys get rushed. But to say you want to be able to execute missions and start giving commands that are specific, that takes an intricate game mechanic that if they were to maybe add that to the development schedule at this rate, the game will most likely have to receive some delay. But who knows? This situation or this scenario may have already been in play and the developers are probably trying to bring it to the game at launch, but I wouldn't hold my breath for something like that just because of how AI design is very complicated and very nuanced in the way that you bring it to a video game. So looking at very successful games, looking at their time frame, their combat, their time span, and the way AI mechanics and AI companion mechanics actually go into play, it is best for, in my opinion, a superhero game design to focus on the superhero himself when it comes to combat in that essence. And if they want to add a companion, then those companions so far have worked as a one-off. Now, this is not to say that Warner Brothers Games Montreal can't push the envelope. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when it comes time for the envelope to start getting pushed, it would have to be something where I see in an established series that actually coming into play. Now, here's my suspicion, and that's why you're seeing Spider-Man footage on the screen. For the second Spider-Man iteration, I think that Insomniac is most likely going to bring something like that. They've had enough time to play with the combat. They've had enough time to freestyle and establish both Spider-Man and their fighting styles. And I can see in a combat scenario where both of them are tagging one another and fighting and you're doing all kinds of fun stuff. But it's still going to somewhat be limited to the Arkham style where you and Robin, you and Nightwing are going on these missions or actually taking on bad guys in collaboration, just because you don't want the game mechanics to be too complex and complicated and you want it to be fun at the same time. So you have to kind of choose. It's either you get another AI to work stealth with you and then also get another AI or get an AI to work a combat situation with you. Because what happens if you guys are both in a stealth mission and you get discovered? What happens to the AI? Well, they're going to break into a fight stance and a fight scenario, right? They're going to do exactly the same thing that you're programmed to. So I don't think it necessarily is a big deal, nor is it a deal breaker. So I've seen some of the concerns. I've seen some folk in the community talk about it. And I just thought, why not just put my 2 cents in the situation and just, talk about what I feel is going to be more important. And I don't think right now this is a deal breaker for anybody. If anything, solo players and people who love co-op are going to gain the benefit of both worlds. It's one thing if your guy is with you and both of you decide you want to do a stealth mission and somebody messes it up. Well, maybe you guys can hit restart or, restart from last checkpoint so that you guys can give it a go. And maybe if you want to knock it out 100% stealth, then that's something that you guys can pull off as a team together. Anyways, I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think that the combat is not going to be satisfactory, or do you think there's a necessity that the development team try at least to reinvent the wheel? I don't think so, though. I think the game needs to focus on what's important and be released before we get any further delays. If you don't agree with me, well, let me know as well. We'll talk about it in the comments. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys so much. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button or hit a like. It would definitely help the channel. Talk to you all soon. Peace out.